All right. So we got confirmation from Nintendo on a few various things here. Some of them I'll just mention more briefly because I didn't specifically write them down, but they are uh, things to note. One of those is that the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct has been confirmed to be, we already knew it was going to be on April 2nd. The time has been confirmed. It's going to be 6 a.m. Pacific time, 9 a.m. Eastern time. So I'm totally cool with that. I like that. But apart from that, they've also confirmed that there will still be games developed for the Switch, the original Switch. There will be lots of games that are cross-gen. And that Metroid Prime 4, as well as Pokemon Legends ZA, will still be on the original Switch and not just on the Switch 2, despite speculation. So what are your thoughts?
All right. I mean, I'm not too surprised by this on one hand, but it's definitely great that it's available for people who, might not be able to get a Switch because of the fact that despite Nintendo's best efforts, it's still most likely going to sell out at launch and to be a bit hard to buy one. So, that people still be able to play the games even if they can't get a Switch 2 to play them. But I think that's also good because of the fact that, maybe people who don't want to get a Switch right away, they'll still be able to play those games. Even if they won't necessarily be able to get the higher quality. Because, maybe the game's similar to Breath of the Wild, it'll run better on the Switch 2 than it will on the original Switch. It also makes me wonder, with the games being cross-gen, is there going to be an official Switch 2 cartridge? Or is it just going to be a Switch cartridge you pop into a Switch 2 and whatever benefits come with the Switch 2 version are just something that you download or whatever? Because it could go either way, because essentially then you would have two, I guess, two technically boxes. On one hand though, it's kind of different, but at the same time it's kind of the same. With Zelda Twilight Princess, because you did have it on the GameCube and Wii, and technically the Wii was, GameCube was backwards compatible, but if you bought the Wii version, you were, using the motion controls, whereas if you're using the GameCube version, you're using the controller. So if the games are going to still be playing essentially the same, I don't know if there's going to be two physical versions, like one that's specifically designed for the Switch and Switch 2, and one that's specifically designed for the Switch 2, which also is another thing. With the Switch 2, being backwards compatible, are the cartridges going to be similar to the 3DS, where there's like a special tab or something that keeps the games from being inserted to original Switch? I'm curious to seeing what happens on that end. But definitely think it's great. Now, that being said, it prevents me from having to buy a Switch 2 to buy a Metroid Prime 4, which, I definitely love on that end. But if they happen to release a physical version for the Switch 2 that is the Switch 2 version, I'll be double dipping. I might not double dip. Well, who knows with me? But
you will.
I will be double.
You will.
Yeah. We already know. Oh, I am so weak. But I'll definitely be doing that. But I think one reason why is because, unlike with the Wii U, the Switch is a technically still popular device, so like there's no need to rush, getting people into the new console because the Switch will technically still sell. And I think that because of the fact that, from what I saw last time, they reached 150 million units sold. Maybe they're still trying to reach or surpass the PS2. So I don't know if that's another reason as to why they, still want to try to push the original Switch and see, hey, maybe we can still sell some Switch units. I doubt they're going to do it, considering the fact they haven't done it so far. But, maybe they might even cut the price of the original Switches and try to, push some more units to see if they can beat the record of the PS2. I don't know. But, I don't think there's really too much of a rush for Nintendo to get people into the Switch 2. Because, like I said, it's not like the Switch bombed like the Wii U did. And there was like, all right, we need to get people into the next console now because no one's playing the Wii U. People still like their Switches. So, I think there's a good reason. I think there's a good cause to have a transitionary period where they can say, all right, we'll slowly phase things out, sort of like how they did in previous gens with, the Wii, the GameCube into the Wii, and the Wii into the Wii U. I mean, I still think maybe they'll sell games for the original Switch at least for another year, maybe two. I think that's still likely because I mean, yeah, I think that's definitely good. But I mean, I am glad though that people won't have to necessarily rush out to buy a new console to play these games. But I do think though that there should, if we are having cross gen, there should be something that would help incentivize people to buy the newer versions. Like say, hey, I think, considering the fact that the Metroid Prime Remastered was 60 FPS, I think Prime 4 should definitely be 60 FPS, but say you can get better textures or graphics or better like shadows or
They'll
lighting
probably
or
have
something
ray
like that.
tracing.
Yeah,
I mean,
in the,
and 4K, of course, because, they'll have DLSS, most likely.
right. But I definitely think there should be something in these versions. And, I mean, and maybe if there's something in the, because, I mean, judging by from what I've heard judging by, I don't know how the other Pokemon's games did, but maybe there'll be some better improvements in ZA as opposed to,
running at a stable 30 frames per second.
Yeah. Maybe we might actually get like 60 FPS in this one.
No, not a chance.
I'm trying to be optimistic here.
I mean, this is Game Freak and the Pokemon Company we're talking about. They do not know how to optimize their games worth anything. They are terrible when it comes to that. But I do think that we could get a stable 30 frames per second, which for them is a big improvement over what they've been releasing. Yeah. Which is sad.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything that I have in mind.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I think it's definitely a good thing that they're going to be doing cross-gen stuff. I'm not surprised at all that Metroid Prime 4 and Pokemon Legends ZA. It's funny when I was typing up Pokemon Legends ZA earlier. Initially, I typed it as Pokemon Legends without the DS. I just Legend Z, LEGNZ. But anyway, that one I think is going to run as poorly as the first Pokemon Legends game did on the original Switch, and I think that theoretically they should be able to get at least a stable 30 frames per second and hopefully better visuals on the Switch 2. But regardless, I'm not at all surprised about Metroid Prime 4. Like I was telling people from the beginning, yes, this is running on the Switch, the base Switch. Retro's already demonstrated that they can get a great looking Metroid game on the Switch running at 60 frames per second. They can still do that with the Switch 2. I mean, they can do that with Metroid Prime 4. It's not going to be a problem. And so, yeah, I mean, it's obviously good news. I definitely do think that they're going to end up doing the same thing with the cartridges that they did with the 3DS. I think it's going to be exactly the same from that standpoint. I mean, obviously, it's longer, but it's going to have that same notch so that it can't go into the regular Switch. It would be interesting to see, though, if they decide to just do a Switch version of the cartridge and then just when you insert it into a Switch 2, it just downloads updates or what have you, or they have all the information on the cartridge, and then if you're playing it on a regular Switch, it will play a certain way, and then if you're playing it on the Switch 2, it will play a different way. So we'll kind of see what happens with that, but I don't know. It's hard to say what they're going to do. I will mention when I said that there would probably be ray tracing. To be clear about it, I'm not talking about like the kind of ray tracing you can get on PlayStation or on PC. I'm talking about just basically like a more or less an artificial DLSS ray tracing where it's there, but it's not like anything. I mean, it's impressive for the Switch, but it's not impressive when compared to other platforms. And it would be great though if they gave you the option to just keep it turned off, because some of us just don't like the performance hit you get from using ray tracing. But whatever. So, I guess beyond that, I'm glad that the time they're doing the Switch 2 Direct is when it is. It sucks for people who are on the West Coast, but for us, 8 o'clock for me, 9 o'clock for you, that's not bad. I mean, it kind of. I kind of wish it was a little bit later in the day, more just because then it's easier to watch during the workday. But I'll figure something out to be able to watch it. What I may just end up having to do is, depending on the day, or depending on how busy it is that day, I may have to just like completely avoid anything on YouTube and everything until after it's done, and then watch it completely blind, because I do really want to watch it and be able to not have anything spoiled ahead for me. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. There is theoretically there's been rumors of a Nintendo Direct that's just focused on the Switch 1 during February. Basically just announcing any remaining games. And my guess is that if they do actually do something like that this month, then it's just going to be, they'll show games and they'll say this is coming to Switch 1 that will be compatible with Switch 2. But obviously they're not going to show any Switch 2 gameplay or anything like that. They'll just basically say this will also be playable on the Switch 2. Because it's like the cat's out of the bag. There's no reason they can't say that. So and then maybe we'll finally get announcements of things like the Metroid Prime 2 and 3 remasters and Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD, stuff like that. Hopefully as a combo pack in both situations, so that I can actually not feel like I'm getting ripped off. I mean, granted, if Prime 2 and 3 were as good of remasters as Prime 1 was, I'm more willing to spend the extra money on it, because I think that that's much more worth it, because Prime Remastered was really well done. I mean, it was excellent. But if it's just basically like HD textures on Prime 2 and 3, it better be a combo pack, because otherwise I'm not spending $60. I mean, I'm not spending $60 a game, for sure. I'd be willing to spend $60 for a combo pack, but that would be the only way. Anyway, that's all I have on that. Do you have any other thoughts?
No, sir. Oh, now actually one question though.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't the Prime Remastered 40 at least?
Yes, it was, but that was so yeah, I guess theoretically if they did them individually, it would be 40 apiece. But yeah, I guess they really couldn't get away with doing more than that. I think it might have been cheaper digitally than it was physical, though, if I remember right. It's been a little while. I'd have to look it up. But yeah, I know that I was super tempted to get it digitally that day. I was like, no, they already said it's coming out physically next week. I'll just pre-order, or I guess maybe it was 2 weeks. I can't remember. But anyway.